If books become your best friends, then you can become an author too. I am Parvathy Raman, and I am going to narrate to you the journey of a young girl who grew up in a metro city with books as her best friends, and who eventually became an author of a book of her own. And this was done by creating an opportunity from the forced lockdown vacation that was thrust upon everyone by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, the young girl I'm referring to here is me. Like many Gen Z kids, I too was born in a metro city. And I'm presently pursuing my schooling at the Orchid School, Pune. Many of us, Gen Z kids, grow up in tall, multi-storied apartments with limited social interactions. I won't be surprised if some of you don't even know who stays right above or below our own residence, right? Well, the general free time activities for many Gen Z kids is either gaming or watching web series. But for me, it is something different. Books are my best friends with whom I like to spend a lot of my time with. I enjoy reading books of different genres. As to friends, I have my own limited set of close-knit friends with whom I like to keep in touch with. But it is another story that the pandemic has now forced this connection to take the hybrid route. So now it is both offline and online. Coming back, now let me tell you a little more on what can happen when books become your best friends by taking a live example. As a child, like any other child, I too was fascinated by soft toys. At a very early age in my life, right from my kindergarten days, my mother inculcated in me the habit of reading books. I was given different varieties of books with big pictures, colorful illustrations, and pop-ups. Even without my knowledge, creativity and imagination was kindled in me. I was lucky enough to get access to the right set of books right from class 1. And this was possibly due to the mobile library that visited our housing society on a weekly basis. I still remember Miss Deepthi. She was the one who owned this mobile library. And this initiative of hers benefited several kids, that includes me as well. She had returned back from the US and had a vast collection of books for all age groups. And she was the one who rightly suggested me the books that I could read and I would find intriguing and interesting at that age. So right from class 1 to 5, I read books suggested by her, and this was the time when I actually started to enjoy reading books. And soon, books became my best friends. I am a polyglot. Right from my childhood, I've been learning languages. My school provided me with a wonderful opportunity to learn English, Hindi, and Marathi. And it has always been a practice to speak in Tamil with my father and in Malayalam with my mother. Whenever we traveled to a different place, the different scripts of the different languages around me caught my fancy. And I could also quickly able to decode a few letters and understand and learn to speak a few phrases here and there. My parents identified this interest of mine and encouraged me to learn a foreign language, that is Japanese. I started learning Japanese right from grade 6th onwards, and today I have basic proficiency in Japanese. The proficiency that I developed at the different languages certainly helped me in expressing my thoughts in the form of writing. I have always been intrigued by languages, and today I can speak English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Malayalam, and Japanese. Languages are much more than just grammatical structures or sentences and verbs. It is a tool to connect with the world and to connect with the different people around the world. The more languages we learn, the more we get to know about the different cultures, lifestyles, and beliefs that exist around us. So that was life until the pandemic hit. In March 2020, owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lockdown was announced. This was 2 weeks prior to my final exam, and I was totally immersed in studying. I remember that one evening, my dad walked in and announced that the exams were cancelled. Wow, what more would a 12-year-old want? I was happy, I was jumping, surprised all at the same time. Now we just had to stay at home, relax the whole time and enjoy. At least that is how it seemed to be initially. But as days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, it became very monotonous and boring. Like many others, I too spent my lockdown time watching the re-telecast of Raman and Mahabharata, and I got to know more about Hindu scriptures. Now, coming back, during the lockdown time, it was as if someone had put my life on repeat mode, and that I'm sure most of you would be able to relate to. There were 3 activities that happened on repeat mode. I'm sure you would have guessed that by now. Yes, you got that right. It was eat, TV, sleep, repeat. Eat, TV, sleep, and repeat. And of course, I invested most of my time in reading books on the e-reader as well. Soon we got to know that classes were now reopening on the online mode. And I attended classes on the laptop, and I was in touch with my friends on the phone, and I read books on the e-reader. This was when my dad suggested that since I had read quite a number of books by then, I could now try to write a book of my own. Me, writing a book? I hesitated, as I had classes, co-curricular classes, and projects all at the same time. Nevertheless, I was still pondering over this because I was hooked on to the craze of doing something unique. Soon enough, 2020 flew by and 2021 came in and brought along with it the second lockdown. This time, classes were still running online, but now I had come up with my own schedule, and I figured out that there was more time left. So I finally decided to try my skills out and explore my skills in writing. So I started to write, balancing it with school, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. Writing transported me to a whole new world of my own, where everything was under the command of my imagination. I also tried to incorporate the essence of the existing pandemic situation to the storyline. As I began to write, the flow came almost automatically. Writing transported me to a whole new world, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. So I personally believe that writing with pen and paper is the most satisfying way of expression. So I began to write in bulky diaries rather than directly typing on sleek keyboards. So I went back to the basics. The pen and paper mode was put into effective use. Soon, I was ready with my story. The book was finally ready, and I flipped through the pages in the diary in which I'd written my story, and I felt on top of the world. I was on cloud 9, I was all happy and excited. All the hard work and efforts now seemed to be worth it. Soon enough, we published this book. And today, you can find my book Location, that is Lockdown Plus Vacation, on Amazon. So just in case you're wondering what my book is about, well, it is about the journey of 14 quirky characters on a trip from Mumbai to Goa on a cruise, and that is when a nationwide lockdown gets announced. It is about how they face this entire unplanned scenario and make this lockdown vacation enjoyable and special. The language and imagination that I came across while reading books ever since my childhood truly inspired me while writing. Also, the schedule that I had brought in, which I try to follow with utmost discipline, blended in with limited screen time, truly helped me in the completion of my book. Books are truly magical. All I would like to say is that if you truly enjoy reading, if you are really passionate about reading, and if you make books your best friends, then you too can become an author. Thank you.